Okay, so every time I turn on the camera to film, there's this like... Is it the garbage truck? I can't even... Oh my god, it's so loud. We're gonna push through because I don't know when it's gonna stop. This video is going to be an update on my life in the past month, known by its alternative title, how I was offered 2 jobs, took 0 jobs, and am now moving. So think of applying for these 2 jobs as parallel actions that were happening at the same time, okay? So on the one hand, we have this nonprofit job that was part-time, that I would have been giving suicide prevention type, anti-bullying type presentations at middle schools and high schools. And it was 4 to 20 hours a week, $16 an hour, okay? Then, at the same time, I was applying for this research assistant job that was, I don't know the salary, I assume like $14 or $15 an hour, because that's like the going rate. Full-time, benefits, you know, paid time off, flexible schedule, much better, really. And so, since I was applying to these 2 jobs at the same time, I literally got a call, or a voicemail rather, that I had gotten the first job, the nonprofit job, while I was in one of the interviews for the research assistant job. Of course, I wanted the research assistant job, but the nonprofit job was the one that was offering me the job for real. So that was the one that I kind of initially was planning to take. But then I tried to kind of use that job offer as a little bit of leverage just to like ask how likely it was that I was going to get the research assistant job. And they were like really nice and said like, oh, you're one of the top candidates for it, whatever, like we're really impressed by your research experience. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride that out before I accept the other job, basically. So I interviewed again at the research assistant job. The theme of that interview was, we need someone for 2 years. Can you stay 2 years? In the interview, I was like, yeah, totally. But in my head, I was like, oh, that's a long time. Because I don't really want to live here. I want to live in Colorado. I want to live where my family and high school friends and everybody and the mountains all live. And I've been planning on just moving when my lease ends in July. So staying 2 years would have been a long time. It would have been a long time. And so I left that interview, still with this other job offer, thinking, it's fine, I'll just take that other job, whatever, no big deal. I'll do it for a year, then I'll leave. So I took that job. Then I got my schedule, and it had me at schools that are like really, really far away, and there's no way to get to them by public transportation. And I don't have a car. And this job is like definitely not enough to afford a car, right? 4 to 20 hours a week at $16 an hour. Definitely not enough to afford a car. Not even enough to not have another job, right? Obviously. And so I emailed them and was like, hey, like, I don't have a car. Could you like schedule me to places that are like closer to me or on a public transportation line? And they basically said no. So I couldn't take that job. And I didn't really want to take the other job, because 2 years is a long time. Because there are basically 3 options, right, in that scenario. Option 1 is I could take the job and stay for 2 years and then leave and like do my grad school, whatever. Option 2 is I could take the job, leave 9 months from now, piss some people off, not be able to use them as a reference, or like a letter of rec for grad school or whatever, and that would be a waste of time. Or option 3 is to just not take the job at all. So basically I'm opting for option 3. I kind of made the executive decision that I'm just going to move earlier, because what's the point of waiting it out for no reason really in a city that most of the friends that I had have moved away and I'm kind of just here. I don't love it. Obviously there are things I like about it, but like I'm not planning on staying here. And now I can apply to jobs the place that I actually want to live, which is Colorado, and be more committed to those jobs and be honest when I can say that I like don't really see an end date to my employment, and it just makes a lot more sense. So with all of that said, it is also worth saying that I needed all of this stuff to happen in order to arrive at that outcome, even though it would have been a lot easier if I had just moved right after graduation. But I just didn't know. And that's the thing, is like, you never know. I made the decision that made sense at the time, and now that decision doesn't make sense anymore. I don't really see it as a waste of time, because I've learned a lot from the last few months, like, because it was hard. For example, I've learned that if all else fails, I can kind of just be a waitress and make money and then do things that I want to do with the rest of my time. I've been able to have hobbies again. I couldn't have hobbies for like all of college because I was just so pressed for time all the time. And it's really nice to be able to have like free time to fill with stuff. It makes you think about what you want to actually do. I also value a lot kind of how things feel at a gut level. This decision feels much better at like a gut level than the decision to stay here or the decision to apply to jobs here. Every job that I was looking at here was through this lens of like, can I tolerate this for a year, you know, or can I leave this like smoothly in a year? And that's just like kind of a pointless way to go through life. But when I think about going to Colorado, I feel like this deep relief. Now I almost wish I was moving sooner than January, but that's when I'm gonna sublease my apartment. So I guess the takeaway from this story today is always reevaluate your life and make choices. Whatever choices they are, like, just make choices. It's not going to work out all the time. I've been making so many choices the past, like, 4 months or 5 months, and not really anything is going to have stuck. I'm basically just completely starting over from scratch, except that now I have this like experience to reference to try to figure out what to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll keep you posted on what happens. And if you're thinking about making any decisions in your life, just make the decision. I'm not saying it's going to be the right decision. Don't quote me on that. But the point is to make decisions, because then you learn stuff. Obviously, if you're unhappy, change something. So I'll be with you next week sometime. I don't know what video it's gonna be, but we'll see. Both of us together. Have a lovely rest of your day or night, and I'll talk to you later.